Honesty is the best policy, like all the time. I pull myself out of deals and listings all the time, and the clients come back because they're like, no. Right? I'm like, listen, I know you want this number. I got to be honest with you. It's not physically possible on this planet, and so maybe you hire someone else. Like I'll let you out.
Yeah.
Like I'd rather be your friend.
Yeah.
I don't want you to hate me because I can't bring you a number that's physically impossible. Let's grab a drink. For me too, I'm like, okay, well, literally 10 years ago, I had $0. Right? I got into real estate, so I didn't have to move home, so I could pay my rent. Mm-hmm. Like that is still my wall. Mm-hmm. And then for everyone else, I just need them to be hungry, right? And the team changes as we grow. Well, I mean, listen, it comes down to like, what is our use anymore? Yeah. Like as salespeople, like, we are just real estate agents. Yeah. Like we are not special in any way, shape, or form. And we are trying to hold on to this imaginary commission that someone invented a long time ago that means nothing. Mm-hmm. So like, how do we show our value? And you do it through information. Like the more you know that you can separate from what the internet can tell the client, the more valuable you're going to be, and then they're going to want to use you, right? The more customer service you give, the more you pick up your phone at odd hours, like all that stuff that people complain about. Like that's how I've been able to differentiate myself over the other like 80,000 real estate agents in the city.
That's been the interesting spot for me coming in. Being 24, coming into the real estate industry, turning 25.
I started at 24.
And just, you feel that someone else could be doing this. Like someone else could be looking at the house and getting their information. But the biggest thing that I've been trying to pull out is that finding value, giving value to people. Why are you important to the transaction?
Listen, it's that too, and it's what I say all the time. Like, no one likes to be sold, but people love shopping with friends, right? So it's making sure that you make that friendship in those first 60 seconds with every single relationship you have, and being their friend. And oftentimes, like, not talking about real estate at the beginning, like on the beginning of the call or the beginning of the meeting. It's talking about their dog, their kid, their outfit, their earrings. Yeah. You got a great tan. Were you just away? Holy shit, I was in Costa Rica too. Like, you start that whole relationship the same way you would in a bar. Yeah. Like every single client I've ever had, I pretend I'm meeting them in a bar. Yeah. You start right before you go in for the close, right? And oftentimes sometimes I won't even talk to them about real estate. They know I do it. I'll tell them I do it, but like keep the relationship so non-selly, because every other broker is going to be like, you want to come see this? Did you do this? Do you want to make an offer this? And they're like, no one likes that, right? It's like walking into a store and someone's like, hey, you want to buy this? You want to buy this? What size shoe are you? And you're like, nope. I don't need shoes anymore.
It's advertising and pre-roll. Right? Like I think of it as 3 shifts too, right? Because when we were coming up, the big companies were just like literally turning around and saying, you know, let's figure out what smells you need to smell. Let's figure out what colors you need to see, and let's gamify it. And that's how they built their businesses, right? Because everything was hidden kind of behind the shroud. You didn't have direct access.
Sure.
And then, you know, all the downtowns deteriorated. Big mega malls got built in a lot of suburb towns, not New York, but a lot of big suburb towns. And then that went away when people felt like they were sick of being sold to. And it's regressed back to, you want to know your cobbler, you want to know your suit guy, you want to trust people that you're talking to. Because you walk into situations, and a lot of times, like for us, when we walk into a situation, people go, what do you want from me?
Yeah. Right?
Like one of the biggest things we have in our business is tenant representation in commercial. The commercial real estate space is so archaic, it's insane, right? In an industry that's been the same way for 50 years, like Jamie and I look at stuff and we're like, oh my gosh, the holes in this industry, like the value add you can bring. We just did one for the lawyer that was above our office. He wrote like our articles for our company, and they were up for renewal. I'm like, he told me that, and I'm like, let me look at your lease. Pulls it up, I'm like, here, look at my lease. I pull it up on my iPad. He's paying $12 a square foot. I'm like, I'm net effective $2 a square foot. I'm like, this is the best lease in the entire city. Yeah. I'm like, you want me to do that for you? He's like, what's it gonna cost? I'm like, nothing, it's free. He's like, how do you get paid? I'm like, the landlord, they build it into their costs with their CAMs and their additional rents. It's all pro forma. I'm like, well, we'll run a little analysis for you. We saved him 6 figures on his lease renewal. Yeah. The landlord doesn't really care because they own so many holdings. They're like, yeah, okay,
just want a good tenant.
Part of it, right? Really good tenant and everything else. But it's exactly what you said, where People are sick of being sold to. So I couldn't have gone and be like, hey, let me do your lease negotiation for you, because you'd be like, what do you want from me? And that would have ended there. It had to come from an organic relationship where we knew each other for long enough. He saw the type of business we did, and then when I came up, I'm like, I saw a problem for him. I'm like, I could probably fix that. I don't need to, but I can. And he's like, okay, yeah, here, take a look and run with it, right? So it's kind of the same thing with real estate, like with the Amazon deal, Prime buying the real estate company. That's an interesting one, right? With data and information, like you guys have always had open data.
Would you say Prime bought who?
Amazon bought a real estate, like a spec build home on the West Coast, right? So they're building properties now. Amazon, $600 million acquisition, was it? Yeah, something along those lines. It happened last week.
Oh,
and they've
what was
done
the company? What was it?
I don't know the name of the company off the top of my head.
It's a modular. Yeah.
It's a modular home company, right? So they're building, like, literally you'll be able to go on Amazon and buy little spec homes. But just the fact that they're entering the real estate industry is an interesting thing, because they're like, okay, they've got all the money in the world if they want to do that, and now they want to go after data, and they want to hook up to the IDX, you know, and pull, so like, we haven't had sold data in our market forever.
Really?
If you want sold data, you have to go to a real estate agent.
Yeah,
you can go to the lawyer.
That's a massive difference.
Nobody does it. It's massive.
Everything for us is online.
But now it's literally probably a year away. They're opening it up.
If you didn't have sold, like if people in New York didn't have sold data,
Yeah.
how would that affect how you're working right now?
I mean, they didn't have sold data until 2010.
Really?
So, like, when I got into business, it wasn't, I mean, you would, like, dig through city records, but, like, you would just go based on what brokers would tell you. Like, that was it. You'd have the information, and you wouldn't really know. And so Street Easy is a website that is used here that came around and was like, that's stupid, everything should be public.
Yeah.
And they figured out how to pull all the data from public record to make it on your phone.
Yeah.
And then that changed everything. Because now we have clients coming through who are like,
I already know.
I know this, I know.
yeah, no, but so it's made it like, it's made it hard, right? Because you've got an apartment that, based on what other things are selling, is worth $10 million, but they come through and they look at the phone like, so this guy paid 6.5 2 years ago? No f***ing way. I don't want this guy to make that much money. I'm not paying him that profit.
Yeah.
I'll give him 6. I'm like, I don't.
It means nothing.
And so it's like that legacy price is really, really tough in a market that has inventory, right?
Yeah.
And so we're in like a thick buyer's market right now. So it makes it extra hard. But at the same time, you just have to learn how to use the information. Like, I can't complain about it or make excuses.
Yeah.
I use it against the sellers. I'm like, what do you think anyone's going to pay you right now? Like, no, of course not. Like, you can try, but so it's a massive educational process, like all day, every day.
Buyers and sellers in every situation.
Yeah, for sure.
A lot of it's seed planning too, because you already know the conversations that are going to come up well ahead of time. The conversation that you had on the podcast where, you were doing the price reduction. I was banging out a workout. I watched the whole episode and I'm like, you did your job there because you were honest with her rather than just sugarcoating and be like, everything's gonna be fine, we'll be fine. I just stay at the same price. Like, you're not doing her any service by just telling her what she wants to hear, because you need to keep a sign up, right? And that's where the industry, I find, is definitely in flux. Where
honesty is the best policy, like all the time. I pull myself out of deals and listings all the time, and the clients come back because they're like, no. Right? I'm like, listen, I know you want this number. I got to be honest with you. It's not physically possible on this planet, and so maybe you hire someone else. Like, I'll let you out.
Yeah.
Like, I'll let you. I'd rather be your friend.
Yeah.
I don't want you to hate me because I can't bring you a number that's physically impossible. Mm-hmm. Like, so, like, let's grab a drink.
I just had this the other week, like someone.
And you do that, and then people say to you, and then they come to you, and they're like, "But no, well, blah, blah, blah." I'm like, okay, well then, listen to me. You hired me for a reason.
Yeah.
Otherwise, try to sell it yourself.
Yeah.
I'm not like, if I underprice it, it will sell in 1 minute. Like, that's the best part about like selling in these urban areas. Like, if you underprice, it'll sell in a heartbeat, right? Or it'll sell for more. Even today, as tough as this market is, if I underprice something, it will sell for over the asking price. Still, because people will come through and they'll be like, I know what you're doing. But if I overprice by $1, it'll sit forever, Yeah.
This is one question we were all talking about. When you have so many balls in the air, how do you know how to prioritize which balls and opportunities? Because some of our smallest deals have turned into our largest, like that.
I would say the ones that can turn into future business, right, are the ones that I prioritize the most. Even if they're small, if they're going to have parents, or if they're attached to somebody else, or because all I care about is like future, like over and over and over. If it's a one-off, someone's coming in and they're staying here for a year and then they're going to leave, still take great care of them, but it'll be a little less hands-on than it will be with someone who I know might move again, or somebody who might be able to bring in better referral sources. But then, dude, like, you never know. Like, if you look through there, some of my biggest clients ever are like they've looked homeless.
Yeah.
Like they,
100%.
like they, you think they're scams. Like you literally have no idea. So I really just make sure that, like, I run the team like a football team, right? And so I quarterback everything, and I always touch the ball. But then I have awesome players in here who are able to like run it as far as they possibly can. And then if I got to go back, touch the ball again to get it further towards the end zone, I will. But sometimes they know what they're doing so well and run it all the way through. Yeah. So every deal is just sort of like a play, and they all work a little bit differently. But I'm always right there, right? Giving personal attention. Otherwise, why hire me? Like, honestly, like why? There are 80,000.
You translate that to your clients, right? Yeah. You're like, this is it. Like, I'm not going to necessarily be there with every single phone call.
Yeah, and I explain the process like right up front. I think you have to set expectations. And I get a lot where people say, yeah, well, Bill, sure. And they'll say, well, Bill over here has one assistant and he's going to be with me all the time. And if I'm hiring a broker, I want them to be with me 24/7. I said, okay, then you should hire Bill. Because if he says he can do that, then he is lying to you. And he is not going to pick up your phone, right? And he's not going to email you back. And he's the broker who, when people want to show an apartment in the next half an hour or an hour, he can't do it, right? And then that's the buyer that you're going to miss. With me, you get an army for the same exact price. Yeah. And I should charge more, but I'm a nice guy. Right? And so you get which is like, because he's going to get the entire commission check. Yeah. I've got to split it with, I'm going to have, her on it. I'm going to have him on it. I've got 3 assistants. I've got 2 graphic designers. Like I've got like everyone in here who needs to eat as well. Yeah. And we just want to sell it for the most amount of money possible. And I also never give people any if they want to cancel. Like I'm not one of those brokers ever who's like holding you to your 6-month agreement. Like a lot of people will. Like if you don't like me,
that's nothing.
Always, right? Contract's only as good as the person who signs it.
100%. And I told them, like, I told him to fire a couple clients last week. I'm like, they're not worth your time.
Yeah.
At that end of the day, right? You need to be valued, and it's a synergistic relationship because you want to be as motivated to do a good job for them as the other way. And you don't want to feel the only reason they're working with you is because there's paper there. Because the second it expires, they're going to tell 1,000 people about that story.
Yeah.
And all the good deals you've done, they might tell a couple friends, but the negative always the positive, right? Yes. Client communication, 400 days on market. You have 60 listings. Are your agents touching them every single week?
Talking to clients?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Communication is free.
Yeah.
Right? We do seller reports for everybody on Mondays, but I make sure that everyone talks to our clients like at least every other day. Yeah. Even just a text. And it's a lot of it is just with comps. Like if something's not going to sell right away, it's just like, hey, just want to let you know, nothing sold yesterday. Like, hey, nothing sold last week. Hey, how was the birthday? Like, how was this? Like, it blows my mind when people don't talk to their clients all the time. So it's like, listen, they went into a contract with you, an agreement with you that was all based on communication. Like, imagine being married and like never saying, I love you to your partner. Like, you might love them inside and you might be running around all day, but they're not going to know it if you don't say hi and like tell them. So that's all that's the most important thing. And listen, with every exclusive agreement we have and every client, our job is not to sell it, right? It is going to sell or not. Buyers are going to come or they're not. Our job, 100% as real estate agents, is to not get fired, right? That is it. And aside from that, our job is only lead gen. Like our job is not mediation, it's not build relationships. Like all of that is like part of the technicalities of the job, but it's find leads all day long, don't get fired. Like that is it. That's how you become a successful broker. That is it. Right, through and through. Like you kind of bleed that into you and into like your systems, then like you will sell more by default. You know.
Going back to the relationship portion, because we talked about that in the beginning, where I find, to me, that's so important, because that's when you get to the point where you're the guy that you'll make sure that the phone calls get answered. You'll make sure you're always there. Like you're up 4:30, 5 o'clock every single day. Plan the night before. Like. Those are things I've shared with the team and everybody else that I work with that have been huge game changers, because the world's asleep typically at that time, and consistency over time really helps build that.
Yeah.
You see Amelia in the morning, kiss her, go to work. How do you that's a beautiful thing that you have even that built in, right? Like that even drove me to be a better husband, and I tell my wife, hey, FYI, the next 5 days I'm going to be a maniac. I'm going to be working 18 hours a day. These are the opportunities we have, and capitalize on them. But I love you. Saturday, we're going to do that. Do you time block certain things with Amelia to do that, or?
Yeah, always. And we go through my calendar the week before, and we look at it. Anything after 6 p.m., I run by her first. She'll never say no, but it's important for her to to know.
Yeah.
Like, you're married, right? Which took me a long time to figure out, by the way. Like, I always thought, like, I was doing my thing, I was on my ship, but then it's like, I didn't marry a sidekick, like I married a wife. And it did take me a moment, right? And so, like, she's my partner, life partner, business partner. Like, she brings me more business than any single person on this team, by far, right? And not because she's out there working the streets, but because her being with me in moments allows me to have different types of conversations with people who are also married, right? Who are also in relationships, and it makes me more human and not just some robot, right?
And it anchors you too, right? Because I mean, you and I are probably similar in the sense that, like, we get so excited with the opportunities and the relationships and just seeing, like, walking around the city and just, I mean, you can feel it, right? Jamie's all fired up. He's like, man, we're going to go back. It's over. It's game over. We're going to take over our entire territory, right? And it's exciting, but to have that anchor and get those moments where you find that love is there, or you get that one-on-one connection, you're like, okay.
No, it's the most important by far. And if you don't have that, then it's hard. Or if that's a mess, then it's hard. Right? That's like the baggage that people then end up bringing to work, you know, and it's hard to sell. So I work on that a lot, and it has not been easy whatsoever, because I love to work. Like, I love being here on Saturdays. Like, it is hard for me to be home, you know, and that's not the way it is for most people. But for me, like, that's what makes me the most happy, is like being in my command center and home base and like trying to figure out future deals and moving forward. And like, people give me shit about it all the time, but it is like, I just turned 34. Like, it is the whole reason we are where we are. Like, dude, we did 838 million last year. The second best team in the entirety of New York City is 15 years older than me and did just under, I think it was like 330.
Wow.
Right?
That's awesome.
So it's
fires you up just hearing that, right? And like, in the amount of time that you've done it too. And it's not, and it's so funny.
I'm not even from here. Like, it's just the work, which is what I wrote the whole book for, was like for the team and for other people. Like, it's not about where you're from or who you are or how tall you are or anything. It is literally just the work. And if you take care of the work will take care of you.
So like, we're live, right? Sorry to cut you off. Actually, I want to touch on that. The book, if you want a copy, call me. I'll get you one.
You have a lot. He has a lot.
The best thing about the book, though, and I'll just be frank with you, right? Like, I watched the show for a long time. I said it to them when I walked in. Like, I like personality-wise and everything else. I like the business. You know, the TV really skews you in one way, right? And they take an hour, and they're going to try and make you look one way.
Take 9 months of footage and put it into 42 minutes.
Yeah, and I was like, okay, yeah, he's good, but I was always like, you know, I wonder how a negotiation would go with him.
Sure.
Read the book, and I was like, okay, I wanted to be prepared more to meet you. I was like, oh, this is actually gold. Like, I'm giving this to every single business we rep. I'm like, here's a copy. I'm like, it's not just real estate. I'm like, read it. You're going to blow your business up. I promise you, because of the principles of it and the structure. But the last thing I kind of want to push people towards is the YouTube. So like, you see all that stuff on $1 Million Listing and everywhere else.
Yeah.
I can promise you the vlog and the YouTube stuff that you're doing now, I see the fire in your eye when you're having those conversations with Yuri about his vacation, and like, the filter's gone.
Yeah.
Right? And that's probably more fun for you.
There's no editing.
There's no editing. Or you're not on set for however long shooting it. Like, you're actually getting the authentic day to day, and you're like, hey, you want to see a hard conversation with a seller? Here it is. You want to see what it's like to get fired? Here it is. Right? And people,
that's how we started it.
They don't get it. Like, people don't even know that it exists. So I want to push people to those channels, because I think that's going to give them more value than watching 5 series of $1 Million Listing, albeit it's a great show.
Yeah.
You know, I think you guys are doing that in the right way. I got a couple friends speaking at Agent 2021.
Sweet.
And I mean, even those are under the radar. They have their own cult followings.
Yeah.
But that's the next level. That's where everything is going, is, you know, the media that you guys are pumping out yourselves, authentically telling that story, you know, telling the story for your agents of the properties that they have listed. Like, there's no ROI directly to that you can attribute and be like, look, I brought you in $20,000 based off this. But the support that your agent felt when you went down to Pier 17 and went through that whole process with them.
It's brand equity, right? So that's what it is. And it's just continuously figuring out how to have more mass exposure, right, in as many different places as possible. Like, I don't have time to write articles for LinkedIn and Forbes, but I do it.
Yeah.
Right. I do it because it's good for one. I have like so much going on in my head all the time. I can't sleep. I have to dump it somewhere. And so like, it's good to put that stuff out there, and it's good for the team to use it, because that's what helps me differentiate myself to like her versus a lot of other places she could have gone. You know. Yeah. It's just to say, like, you will be a part of this with me, and no one on my team is a junior agent. We have like a handful of interns here and there, but everyone is a partner in some way, shape, or form, right? Just like on a football team. Like I cannot throw the ball and catch it too. I will never win by myself, right? I need all of them to be firing on all cylinders all the time. If they're just going to do it in their own different ways, and that's cool. Some will make a lot more, some will make less, and then they'll trade and go like this, and they'll figure it out, and that's the fun of it. And then watching them change their lifestyle has been probably like the most fun for me.
Do you get a lot of bounce back, like back and forth with them asking about, okay, how do I structure my days, or how do I do this? Like I'm overwhelmed. Do you do a lot of that one-on-one with them as well?
I tell them to read the book.
Yeah.
And like I have a lot here. Like if you haven't read it yet, like there's a copy. Yeah, I mean I help them all. Like everyone, some of the agents need, like I sit with them an hour every week just to go through their life, right? They need that with me, and that's fine.
Yeah.
Some of them grab me as I'm going in the car to go uptown, and we talk for half an hour as we're stuck in traffic. Like some of them I have to touch base with. I'm like, you alive? And they're like, yeah, I did 3 deals. I'm like, all right,
Cool.
great. Like they don't want to talk, but they just want to do this, and then they use me and they pull me in when they need me. So everyone's a little bit different, and I'm cool with all of it.
That's awesome. Well, you're building something really cool. I know you probably got to get going as well too, so I'm not
No
going
problem.
to take too much of your time. But again, right? Like I appreciate the time. I appreciate you having us down here too, and
Very much.
Absolutely.
I'm inspired by what you're doing probably more than anything else.
Thanks, man.
To take what we're doing to the next level.